What I have here is an old Bachmann E60CP diesel. This was sold to me as a non-working unit. I have not tested it out yet, so let's open it up and see what we can do with it. Looking over the thing real quick, it's externally in pretty good condition. Just some minor wear in a few areas, some dust and dirt to be cleaned off, but otherwise it looks pretty good on the outside. Going down to the bottom, there should be 3 traction tires down here. Those are all gone, so it looks like they dried off and crumbled away. Some dirt on the wheels, but those are spinning freely. And it looks like there are electrical wipers on possibly just these 4 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and hook that up and see if there's any response from the motor at all. Okay, the light's turning on. And it's definitely showing current, so it looks like the motor is trying to turn on, but it's not able to move. Let's see, to get inside of the thing, it spreads out right here and right here. Easy enough. Just have to drop that out of there. There it goes. So there's the chassis. Has a 3-axle version of their old 80s pancake motor drive. And then they use the same truck for the back, there's just no motor in it. Well, I'll get to opening this thing up and seeing what's up with it. So one of these contacts unscrewed easily enough, but the other one I can't get out, so there seems to be some damage to that screw hole. So for that wire, I will unsolder it for now until I can get that fixed. Alright, I finally got that unsoldered, so now let's get the truck out of there. It's just got 2 tabs holding it in place. So squeeze those in. There's one. And the other one. And there's the motor truck on its own. And the truck does seem to be turning freely. So I think the gears are all right. Yeah, I found one of the tires. Might actually still be able to use that. I'll set that aside for now. See, that axle is kind of spinning in there. It looks like that gear is actually cracked on this one, so I'll have to see if maybe I can find a way to fix that. Or maybe I have a replacement. This gear looks fine. And this one also looks fine. Right, well, on to the inside of the motor. The spring is in there, but there's no tension on it. Wonder if maybe that has something to do with it. Oh, springs are easy to replace, fortunately. There's the gears. And I was right, there was some damage to that screw post there. I'll have to see if I can find a way to get that out and fix it. And there's the armature, and boy, is that commutator black. I'll have to clean that up a bit. Brushes press right out. Along with the brush caps. That's interesting. Haven't had that happen before. Alright, so in order to clean this commutator, I mounted the armature into this cheap hobby lathe I have, so I'm just going to turn that on and then polish it with this buffing wheel. Let's see how that turned out. Shiny as brand new. Hope that improves it. Before I put it back together for testing, I want to do a bit of cleaning on this, so I'll put just a bit of alcohol onto a paper towel. I'm going to wipe that around in there. That should take out most of the really nasty stuff. And yeah, that got quite a bit of crud out. And while I was working on cleaning that piece, I managed to get those screw posts out of there, so I have them glued back onto here for now. I might have to drill through and put an actual screw through the other side at some point if it keeps breaking. But for now, that should at least hold together. And I don't want to have to keep pulling this apart, so I'm going to go ahead and add some oil to the bearings now. Just a little drop for each gear. Put that last big gear in there. Okay. Now just slide this back on. There it goes. Turning nice and smooth. A little bit of oil for the motor bearings. I just happened to find another motor I wasn't using and had exactly the springs I needed. So let's put these in here and see how things work. That plate back on. Connect a couple wires to this thing. And off it goes. Current draw is pretty high though, and I see some smoke coming out. I may need to clean out the commutator a little more. So I gave the commutator a good wipe down and kind of scraped out the spaces between the commutator plates with a knife here. Give it another little wipe down, and I think that did the trick. Current draw is way lower now. Looks like about 50 milliamps on my power supply here, so that's very good. I did notice the commutator is kind of rough, so this motor may not have a super long life, but for now it does work. And if it does die, then it'll become a remotoring project for me. I found a gear of the same size out of an old broken lifelike motor, so I modified that a bit, and it seems to be working. Alright, so I'll just add a bit of grease to those gears, clean up the wheels, and add some tires. For the grease, a lot of times I just use a bit of Vaseline petroleum jelly. Lasts for a long time, it seems to be effective, so why not? Don't want to spread too much in there, just enough to coat the teeth. Let it turn in slowly at first. And that should do. Now before I add any tires in, I want to make sure those grooves are completely cleaned out. So just start that up there. Got a brass wire wheel. Always make sure to wear goggles when you're using one of these. And that should be good enough. Now I'll just pop the axles out to get those tires in place. This is one of the old well, it was one of the old Bachmann tires. Not as good as I thought. It was also dried out. Fortunately, I just happen to have these spare tires from, I believe the company's called Calumet. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced or not, but that's how it's spelled. Just get 3 of those out. And to get those on, just put it on the end of my needle nose pliers here. Start one edge like that. Gotta be on the very tip of the pliers. Then I can do this. Stretch down over. And release. Now the wheel's got a brand new traction tire on it. Alright, so I resoldered that diode and wire, put the motor back together in there, and everything seems to be working. Now I just got to get those wheels cleaned up. So again, I'll let the motor run while I do that. I don't usually use a wire wheel for cleaning wheels, but in this case I kind of want to brush them sort of gently while it's running, just because the gears don't really hold that well to the axles. these wheels don't actually do anything for electrical pickup since there are no wipers on them, so I'm not really being too thorough on getting them polished, but these other ones in the back, I'll put a little more effort into them. To clean these, I'm using the flat trimmed edge of a Walther's Bright Boy track cleaning block. Just put that on there, rub it back and forth. And that polishes up the wheel real nicely. Alright, wheels are cleaned up, chassis is reassembled. Let's see if we can run on my short little test track here. Yeah, the electrical pickup's not great. That'll need some work. But it does run. There's quite a bit of oxidation on the backs of these wheels where those wipers contact, so I'm going at that a bit with the wire brush. Just a little section at a time in there. Should see some improvement after this. Let's see if that works. Still a little flaky, but it seems better than before. Might just have to let that run for a while, so let's bring it to the layout. Alright, let's see how things go here. A little rough. Cover's flaky, but it is working. That lifelike gear I used may not be working as well as I'd hoped. So I had one lifelike gear left on hand, so I decided to give it a try. And this one's working quite a bit better. It's running a lot smoother than it was with the other gear. And it seems as I run it, the electrical performance is improving. Still not exactly great as you can see, but it is improving. So I added some KD couplers. I have it pulling my Fleet passenger cars right now, which it's struggling to do. The cars aren't exactly super free rolling, but this thing's losing at least 25% of its maximum speed just pulling these three, so definitely a very weak motor in these. I think I'll repower it eventually. But I got this thing for really cheap, so the fact that it's running at all, I'm definitely happy about that.